conversation to win a conference championship for the first time since 1912 and the precursor to what was the Big Eight. But they will have to do so without David Montgomery, the most elusive running back in the Big 12, second leading rusher in the conference. He's out the first half, suspended after a fight in the Baylor win in the second half last week. So how will that impact the Cyclones' chances here in Austin? Texas has won the toss. They will defer. Cyclones will start with the rock first. And that will go over the head of Kene Nwangu. So Brock Purdy and Iowa State will start at the 25-yard line. No correlation when it comes to the Cyclones and getting the dominance back. It's not by chance, it's because of this man. They were up to a 1-3 start. Purdy gets in the second series against Oklahoma State. They have not lost with him as the primary or starting quarterback.
I love this kid's makeup. I love his moxie. He's got a lot of confidence. He's got his entire team playing with that same confidence. And Purdy is a dual threat quarterback that can be deadly and dangerous when he gets hot.
Nwangu will get the start with David Montgomery out in the first half. And immediately to Nwangu, and Anthony Wheeler is there.
And that's something that Texas didn't do well last week, was tackle players in space and on initial contact. That was a great open field tackle there from Anthony Wheeler.
Purdy will keep. And about a 4-yard gain on the play to set up a third and manageable. And that's another element to Purdy's game.
Well, I mean, that pump fake, you're going to see it all night tonight. And when he gets into that play, he really does duke defenders. And this kid has natural instincts to run. You know, he's not Kyler Murray up the road at Oklahoma, but he's got just enough juice to make things happen and to convert on downs like that.
3rd and 5. Can Texas defensively figure this out on 3rd down? They have been one of the worst teams in the nation here the past few weeks. And that is a pitch and catch to the go-to receiver, Akeem Butler, the best big play receiver in the Big 12 and in college football.
I love this kid. I think he's the best wideout in the country. He's big, he's physical. That's a nice route for a guy with that type of length. He's got to really sink his hips and get into that cut, and he did exactly that. If you're Devontae Davis and you're Chris Boyd, you got your hands full tonight.
Purdy thinking about it. He will keep, but he is wrapped up quickly. And B.J. Foster and Charles Omenihu are there.
That's good team defense. And B.J. Foster, you know, what can you say about he and Caden Stearns? You got two freshman safeties back there lining up, taking on this offense and trying to be the lid of this defense. And that's a great start for B.J. Foster to come up, get your hands on the quarterback, force him inside, and let Omenihu clean him up.
And for Iowa State fans, he will play the equivalent of Greg Eisworth's position for the Texas defense. 2nd and 9. There's the pump fake. Chris Boyd makes Purdy throw it away.
Did that get back to the line of scrimmage? Not quite sure, and I think he was still in the pocket. And I think they're discussing it right now.
No foul on the play for intentional grounding. Number 24 was in the area.
Well, Tom's asking the same question. I mean, look at it. This is a close play. I don't believe he's outside of the pocket. Now, he's got to get outside of that tackle box. I think he's still in there, and that ball doesn't appear to cross the line of scrimmage.
One of those plays that Boyd simply has to finish, but it's tough with Brock Purdy. 3rd and 9. Malcolm Roach will try to chase him down. There is the pump fake, and Anthony Wheeler brings him down behind the line of scrimmage. And Texas defensively comes through on 3rd down.
Anthony Wheeler, if they can get him going in the middle. We've seen flashes of a guy that has NFL potential, but watch the closing speed here. The ability to really get outside and finish the play. That's what's most important. And now you force this Iowa State offense to punt. And if you're Sam Ehlinger, you want to be off to a fast start. Wheeler and this defense with a great charge to get them off the field.
Corey Dunn to punt it away to Deshaun Jameson. He's got 1 punt return for a touchdown this season, and that was against Kansas State. Flag on the play as this rolls down around the 25.
During the during the kick, holding receiving team number 2. 10-yard penalty from where the kick went out of bounds. It's first down, Texas.
So Sam Ehlinger put 10 yards back. Start his opening drive. You got to look at the quote from Tom Herman. He's being very aggressive without being reckless. That has been the difference with Sam Ehlinger this year, and he has been his best in the biggest games. One of the biggest moments for him, the touchdown toss to little Jordan Humphrey to win it on the road in Lubbock last week.
He's having a legendary sophomore campaign, and that patience has really paid off for him, and he'll need it tonight.
Trey Watson getting the start in the backfield. And Watson up the middle. Chunk yardage on first down. 9 yards on the carry. Now it's time for the Dell Children's Impact Players, brought to you by Ascension Dell Children's.
Well, it looked like Watson got the start. Little Jordan Humphrey will be on the outside edge or in the slot, making tons of plays.
Bottom of the screen, Colin Johnson is back after missing Texas Tech. And he comes up, first target, first reception.
That is a very, very good sign for this Texas offense as they get into their tempo offense. Iowa State, one of the best teams in the nation at limiting people from explosive plays. That time there, Colin Johnson winning a one-on-one matchup, and Ehlinger finding that matchup.
Smaller corners for this Iowa State defense. Large receivers for Texas. Check down and a big thud made by Mike Rose. Fantastic freshman linebacker.
Oh, this kid can play now. And you'll see him all over the field today. And he plays with the level of aggression that you're supposed to when you're the meat in the middle. And he flies around sideline to sideline. And when he gets there, like he just did there, he will make sure he forces your face in the dirt.
The Cyclones defense starts inside with number 76, the nose guard, Ray Lima. He sets up everything. Back to Watson. Left side and brought down quickly by Marcel Spears.
And this Iowa State defense, which has really set the Big 12 on its head by running a 3-3-5 alignment, has opted to put more numbers in the box. It appears as though to me that the defensive coordinator, Haycock, is really forcing numbers in, trying to prevent them from running the football early in the ball game. And I believe a lot of that has to do with Sam Ehlinger's ability to also run the football. 3rd and 6, but the nation's leading receiver on 3rd down, little Jordan Humphrey, is not in. Ehlinger steps up. He's got Johnson. Trying to make a move. He's into the red zone. 13 yards for the 6'6" target. Let's just go ahead and compliment the play calling now. When you have teams that drop back in numbers, one of the hardest things to do in underneath coverage is to pass a route on from one man to the next. When you run those crossing routes, it either provides bait where you can get in the back of a defender, or you don't know when to carry and how far to carry over, and Texas taking advantage of that.
Iowa State, 5th best red zone defense in all of college football. The bullet looking for Johnson, but it was Braxton Lewis in coverage. So we heard from Tom Herman right off the top. This is the best defense in the Big 12, and it's been such a turnaround for John Haycock in his 3rd season.
I really like what they're doing. I mean, a season ago, they revamped their entire defense headed into the Texas game, and since that time, they have put up some phenomenal numbers. They limit teams. Typically, when you're going up against this defense, it's a scary thing.
Ehlinger will keep. Patience with the run. He's got clearance. How many moves can he make? Tough to take Sam Ehlinger down.
You know, let me go ahead and say it. When you remember what Tim Tebow looked like at 6'3", 235 pounds, this kid is the exact same size. I think he's got more wiggle, but he's also strong. Lower base allows him to run through tackles.
Quickly to the line. Into Watson, who's brought down for a loss by Spears.
That's a costly play, because down here, you never want to go backwards. It's just something about scoring in the red zone. It's extremely difficult. And to that point, Iowa State is one of the best teams in the nation at limiting points once you get inside of the 10. Part of that is because they force the defensive backs are taught to have them throw the ball over their head. They use that back line as a 12th defender, and they are very stingy. They like to bring the blitz down here. and they will heat up the pocket if a quarterback decides that he wants to sit back there and pick them apart.
Humphrey now checks in, as well as the true freshman Malcolm Epps. Empty for Ellinger. He's following Captain Anderson. Ellinger, end zone. Texas strikes first. Touchdown on the year for Sam Ellinger. The last quarterback to do that, Colt McCoy, and his storied 2009 season.
This is called off schedule. I'm not even sure if Tom called that play. I think Sam Ellinger knew that they dropped back numbers, and he knew that that allowed him to be able to run the football. It appeared to me as he just decided, I'm taking this in, I'm finishing, and that is why number 11 has decided to really pick up his game. He's put these Longhorns on his back, carrying them into the end zone and been carrying them all.
Got into the end zone to give Texas the early lead, 7-0.
Yeah, and that was a design run. I thought it was him audibling and checking off, and Tom Herman and Tim Beck decided to put it in 11's hands, and he came through. I mean, those are the types of plays that if you really want to win your teammates over, and you really want to prove that you are the guy and you're the next great one here at this university, you make those plays and you're well on your way.
And so big, too, for the Texas defense to start off with a stop. No team in America had allowed more opening drive points than the Longhorns. Nwangu fumbles that, gets it back, and he's still got some room to work up to the 35-yard line for the Iowa State running back. He got this start in the backfield because David Montgomery is out. Now, they won this game against Baylor, but this was a big loss. And it started with Akeem Butler, a little physical here with the Baylor DB. And then this is a straight-up fight. Greg Roberts with, like, the hook around the official, and Montgomery reacts.
Dude, they got pads on. I mean, I don't know if it's a real fight now. I mean, nobody was hurt there or cut, but yeah, it was ridiculous. And you know, and I'm not sure, you know, this happens in the course of a football game. I'm not going to say it happens like that, but there are punches thrown in many football games.
Up the middle, strong run on first down for a pickup of 5. And there is Matt Campbell, last year's Big 12 Coach of the Year. He has done a phenomenal job with this Cyclones program, taking them to places they have not been in a long, long time. Purdy wants to throw over the middle, and that is brought in by Tariq Milton, a redshirt freshman from Texarkana, back in his home state. Caden Stearns with the stop.
How about Purdy sitting in that pocket, moving around, and that was a dart down the middle of the field. An intermediate route that he zipped in there on target as the Cyclones get a fresh set of downs.
No Brandon Jones in the Texas secondary. He's been battling a reoccurrence of an ankle issue that popped up in the first game of the season against Maryland. Johnny Lang, the running back, flanking Purdy. They go to Lang. He's got a seam to the right side, and a first down run for Johnny Lang.
Well executed. You know, and that's that eye candy as they move the motion across. These young safeties, you know, they're still learning. And so they come all the way across the field. It occupies some space on the back end, and the Cyclones found it.
Purdy trying to make a man miss. He gets the edge on Foster, sliding his way. They will mark him down shy of the first down because that's where he gave himself up on the slide. But Purdy now has this Cyclones offense churning out yards. Quick throw, and it appeared that was tipped by Jeffrey McCulloch.
That's great awareness there. You know, and you're expecting, especially with these short distances, they like to run stick routes, stops, and that's where that was. And McCulloch doing his research there, putting that ball up and knocking it down. A big third down here. Here's where the Cyclones are dangerous because they can get into their RPO package, they can run with their quarterback, or they can run from these distances.
To Nwangu, and Nwangu fighting for first down distance. It's going to be close. And they'll say move the chains, first down.
Nwangu with this great second effort here. Just the leg drop. That right there is what accomplished the first down.
Cyclones using tempo. Purdy is flush. Stearns brings him down for the sack.
It's two freshmen, two outstanding freshmen. Perhaps two guys that'll be mentioned in the freshman All-American. Caden Stearns has been a playmaker back there. And Tom told us yesterday, he said, the one thing that these young guys, B.J. Foster in particular and Caden Stearns, are working on is to how to manage all these games at playing at this level. Caden Stearns has lost some weight. They want him to make sure that he stays bulky when he can still tackle very forcefully.
First sack of Stearns' career. Some question whether he would be able to go in this game after he left late against Texas Tech after taking a big collision. To Nwangu, who's met immediately by Charles Minahu. He told us he needs to play the best game of his career tonight.
Oh, it's easy for him. I mean, he's hot as fish grease right now. I mean, the kid really struggled early on, and you saw him there just fight off a blocker. He's finally starting to play like a true NFL prospect, and he'll make an NFL team happy. He's long. He's a good young man, and I think he's got a bright future.
To Crony. Crony will not have the yardage. A third down stop for the Texas defense. We got to consider, past 3 games, they were allowing 57% on third down. Only 2 teams in the bowl subdivision worse in that 3-game stretch.
Ouch. That hurts. And third downs are about making your individual play, as this is a big win for them. You know, and anytime you can get inside of the 30 and force teams to a field goal, if you're as a defense as a whole, you've certainly done your job.
Here's Connor Asali. Will it come back into the uprights? It does. Started left, gets it to fade back in, and Asali gets the Cyclones on the board. But Texas with a 7-3 lead for their sophomore quarterback, Sam Ehlinger. Will it go to that man again, Colin Johnson, or start spreading the love to Austin? They're probably a little bit surprised because his game day atmosphere looks like a 180 from anything they've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference in the energy inside the stadium.
Yeah, it's great to see that. And then also the student section full before kickoff.
Watching them watch Oklahoma State and West Virginia was a pretty special moment. Humphrey from the 5. Wrapped up just shy of the 30.
Yeah, and number 11 was off to the start. We've seen some great ones where that Major Applewhite, Ricky Williams. This kid here, a deep ball here. Who says you can't take a deep shot on this Iowa State defense? Colin Johnson with the one-on-one matchup. He comes back. The patience that Tom Herman told us throughout the week that he needed, he showed it there. Finds Colin again. And then when it comes down here, just a design run. Give it to number 11. Let him find the end zone. This run here set up his touchdown, the toughness, the wiggle, the cuts, and then the brilliance here from Sam Ehlinger. This young man is hot right now, and he's playing at a very high level.
Keontae Ingram checks in at running back for the first time. Ehlinger looking at taking a shot. Instead, checks it down to Ingram. Good receiver out of the backfield. You know, we talked to Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, and he described the running backs as essentially solid, effective, but what he is most impressed with, their ability to catch out of the backfield.
Well, that's that safety net for a quarterback, especially when they're dropping numbers back like Iowa State is known for. They want to make you work for everything you get. And Sam Ehlinger right now is making really, really good decisions by checking that ball down and not taking an unnecessary shot.
4 or 5 to start. Ingram now with his first carry. Give him 4 yards in the first down. Mike Rose makes the stop, as Rose has been very active for this Cyclones defense.
He's a good football player. And, you know, and speaking of that, I mean, I think when you look across the board for Iowa State, they've got some young, talented players. And this is an Iowa State team that finds himself in the mix of a Big 12 conference title or appearance. And I think they're going to be here the next couple years.
Ingram is held up momentarily by Lima. Lima could not make the play, but did enough to make that a minimal game at best. Jaquan Bailey is there for the tackle.
Lima, he's just a rock in the middle. You know, he's the type of player that if you don't want people to have those interior runs, he's going to eat up and demand and double team. And this Texas offensive line will have their hands full with him on first and second down.
Big boy inside for the Cyclones. Back to Ingram. Very patient runner, but stuffed for no gain on the play. Braxton Lewis with the stop.
And that's what he does, though, Lima. He allows people to be able to flow freely to the football, make plays, take the appropriate angles. Now you find yourself in a third and intermediate situation. And this is where Sam Ehlinger has been great. Now, the question will be, what will Iowa State do? At times like this is a distance where they will like to blitz. It appears as though they've gone with a 3-high safety look, meaning that typically in this set, they like to keep everything in front of them and force you to beat them in space.
And Jamal Johnson replaces Lima, more of the pass rush threat. Ehlinger feeling the pressure. He's gobbled up and brought down by Johnson.
And it's just a 4-man rush. And over 85% of their sacks come off of a 4- or 3-man rush. They mix it up so well, it confuses the offensive line. That time there, I think Sam did the smart play. But if you're this offensive line, you've got to take the challenge there. Look, there's 4 of them and 5 of us. They should not get back to our quarterback.
Cyclones defense really settling in. Big stop as Milton is back. And he will field it on the hop. And he's getting away. But Anthony Cook throws him down. That was potentially dangerous there. Milton scooping it up, and then Milton almost breaking free. But the Cyclones defense, the best in the Big 12, getting to Ehlinger. They bring Jamal Johnson in at the major development earlier tonight as Oklahoma State beats West Virginia. That really sets up Texas and Iowa State. Either team now has to win their last 2, of course this one, and their finale, and they are in the Big 12 championship game.
Just an amazing turn of events, and you're happy for both of these young head coaches and these teams that have really fought all year long and put themselves in a position in November to make it special.
Brock Purdy and the Cyclones offense back to work. The 24-yard line. Taking a shot to Butler. Butler, what a catch! Does he find some room? He does. How did he do that, Ahmad Brooks?
Watch this matchup here. And once again, he just gets a step on Chris Boyd, and outstanding. I mean, it looks like his right pinky toe got down there, and they'll review this play, and I think that's the smart thing to do. But let's just talk about the matchup here between these two. And Chris Boyd, a lot has been made about him not performing well.
Ooh,
that's a close one. Now, is it enough to overturn the call will be the question. The ruling on the field is that it's a catch, and I don't see anything there to necessarily tell me that it's not. And I think this is why perhaps we'll stand. But this matchup here is compelling because Chris Boyd has struggled, in my opinion. I think you look at it, the preseason hype, he's preseason all-conference. And we talked to Todd Orlando yesterday about this, and I mean, that is awfully close. And he said, part of it is last year they had to put a camera on the top of his head, Lowell, because he has poor eyes. What I mean by that is sometimes he gets locked in the backfield and is not always focused on his responsibility of covering the guy. And then there are other times where he gets uber aggressive and he's not necessarily alert of the play that's developing around him. This is a young man that's got enough talent to play on Sundays and Mondays, and there's no question. But it's between the ears with him. And then to play on the edge, you've got to be extremely competitive. I believe, in my opinion, he's given up already too many touchdowns and big plays for my liking. And I think that right there shows a little bit of that white, that green coming out. That one's close.
But when the foot actually goes down and there's pressure, you can see what looks like a little bit of green. So you're saying like the cleat was in and the toe was like not touching the ground? It's going to be hard to overturn. That's what I'm saying.
I don't envy these guys here, but the matchup.
not envying Chris Boyd. He's drawing the best receivers in the Big 12, which means you're drawing the best receivers in America.
But the best corners do that. So that's no surprise to me. And you saw last year he was able to do it towards the latter part of the stretch, and Holton Hill did it. And all of the great corners that have come here have accepted that challenge willingly and have done their job. And for this defense to work, what did Todd Orlando tell us yesterday? We need a linebacker that can seek, hunt, and destroy. We need a shutdown cornerback, right?
After reviewing the play, when the receiver controlled the ball, his foot was out of bounds.
Wow.
It's an incomplete pass. Ball will be returned to the previous spot, a second down.
So wipe out that 28-yarder. So it's a win for Chris Boyd, you were saying?
Well,
great
he's beat on the play. And Purdy with an excellent ball. But that's going to be a fun matchup to follow. Hakeem Butler, if you haven't seen this kid's highlights, just go check him out on ESPN.com. He is a freak. He makes people miss. He's got great speed. And by the way, he's really tall.
6'6", just like Colin Johnson, his counterpart. Butler leads the Bull subdivision, 22.7 yards per catch. McCulloch trying to bring down Purdy. Throwing downfield in the scramble drill. And incomplete.
Terry Johnson gets a lick there at the end of this play. Watch the explosion here. And Purdy, this is what he does well, the extending plays. And if you're McCulloch, you got to make that play. Keep him inside. And Johnson there coming up, making sure that the young freshman quarterback, Butler, knew he had a step there, wanted that rock. And now a 3rd and long. And this is where Todd Orlando really likes to either bring 4 or 5 guys, or he drops everybody up to clog those passing windows.
To Butler. Butler's got it. Wins this matchup against Devontae Davis. That one should stand. As they go from Boyd to Davis, 25 yards to Butler.
Oh, that's a smooth now. And some people would say this is the Michael Irvin push there, that right hand to clear the way. What about the balance there to stay in bounds? I mean, this kid really is the real deal.
Back to Butler in space. And that's something Todd Orlando was very curious to see. With the physicality of Butler, how much hand checking and physicality would they allow him to get away with to create some of that separation?
I think he's good at it, you know, and Michael Irvin made a living of this. And as a defensive back, you know, what I was always taught is when he pushes, you pull. And you've got to be just as slick with him to get away with that. But it's going to be hand fighting going on all night tonight with that guy. And you've got to get your hands on him to have a shot of defending him.
Yeah, big plays, you know where Purdy is going. To Big 18. Speed option. And a first down run for Johnny Lang.
And if you haven't seen this kid up close and personal, Butler, I mean, it's just a highlight reel waiting to happen. Watch some of these catches and what this young man is able to do. I mean, just shaking people off. He runs great routes. This was perhaps the play of the year for me. Outstanding.
Taking another shot. Devontae Davis didn't see it, nor did Josh Johnson.
I love the coverage, though. He was exactly where he was supposed to be. He got his head around at the right time. That's good coverage. And Devontae Davis made some plays last week that I thought really established him as a guy that's starting to come on late here. He's still battling with injury, but at 6'2", 205, the senior from Miami will get a shot at the next level.
Texas also bringing a lot more pressure than we've seen them bring in recent weeks. Another big-time play made by Chris Boyd. That looked like it was in the hands of Matthew Eaton, another large target, and Boyd was there.
Yeah, that's good. Now, that's good stuff there. You see that right hand? And did you see him go back to the wide receiver? That is good eyes. Typically, he doesn't go back there, and that wide receiver continues to drift, and that ball is thought to be thrown over his outside shoulder. That is a all-conference play right there on Matthew Eaton, who I believe is one of the top wide receivers also in this conference. But Boyd doing his job there on a big second down.
Ethan coming off the best game of the year, 3 catches for 61 against Baylor. 3rd and long. Purdy gets rid of it, but it falls incomplete as he was wrapped up by Gary Johnson.
And it appears as though they've got Gary Johnson spying on Purdy, and I think that's a good look. And what that does, and when I say spy, you've got a linebacker who's going to move laterally on the 2nd level, right? Eye the quarterback, and when Purdy likes to break that pocket, go get him. And you don't want him to break the pocket and then be able to pick up a 1st down with his feet. Johnson there closing the gap, forcing a punt here. Good defense there for the Longhorns.
No doubt, though, Iowa State's missing Montgomery.
Oh, there's no question about it.
And timeout, Texas.
This is the first timeout of the half for Texas. Timeout on the field.
Final seconds of the 1st quarter. Got a good one, a physical one so far. Texas up 7-3.
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
There's Bevo 15 taking this one in under the lights. The 500th game at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. And it's Iowa State and Texas both in the top 25 of the college football playoff rankings. Both need to get a win here to have a shot to play in the Big 12 championship game. After the timeout, Cyclones will punt. Jamison back deep. Texas will back off. And this is a nice one. And it will be grounded at the 5-yard line. So long field coming up for Sam Ehlinger and the Texas offense on senior night here in Austin, Texas. 7-3 after 1. Longhorns with the edge.
Hook 'em horns all the live long day.
Welcome back to Austin. After the 1st quarter, Texas up on Iowa State 7-3 on a game that is so critical for both teams and their chances to reach the Big 12 championship game. Matt Campbell playing without David Montgomery, 2nd leading rusher in the Big 12. Suspended for the 1st half for an ejection in the 2nd half against Baylor. He will return after this quarter. Sam Ehlinger, 4 of 5, 57 yards. Scored his 30th touchdown of the year, the most for Texas since Colt McCoy in 09. Ehlinger from his own end zone, stepping into it. Devin Duvernay running free, and it's off the mark. Ron Peavy trying to keep up. Let's check in with Chris Button.
Well, you talk about the missing Montgomery. It's obvious what they miss on the field, but what they miss on the sidelines is his energy and his voice. Matt Campbell has called him the heartbeat of this team. Up until recently, it was a very quiet sideline, but I just checked in on Purdy, and he was yelling at his offensive line, trying to bring some emotion to this sideline, saying, let's get going. We're going to score on this next drive.
Watson in at tailback. He's hit quickly by Greg Eisworth, and AB Eisworth is one of those guys where they try to flow everything through him.
I like him. He runs the lane, and he's not scared to hit. And, you know, against West Virginia, they brought this guy on consecutive blitzes right up the middle of the A-gap. One, he flushes the pocket. The next time he comes back and comes up with a sack on Will Greer. He's like the Tasmanian devil back there. He's everywhere.
Texas 1 for 2 on 3rd down so far. Here comes the pressure. Ehlinger eludes it and has little Jordan Humphrey. He breaks free. And it takes all of the Iowa State defense to bring him down. He refuses to go. That is the calling card of this Texas team this year, refusing to go down.
And you know when it started? The day Tom Herman walked in the door. He's always been about toughness. And this is why he loves little Jordan Humphrey so much. I mean, we saw him do it at Oklahoma on a big 3rd down and pick up 17 yards when it was 21 yards to go there. He is relentless, and this young man is continuing to develop. He's more projected as an outside wide receiver, but they use him in the slot. He's all over the field, and that kid can play.
No one with more yards nationally on 3rd down than Humphrey. Ehlinger, methodical, slippery, and a big thud at the end delivered by Mike Rose. But damage done by the sophomore quarterback.
You see those 2 hands on the football? I mean, this young man is literally just blossoming and developing right before our eyes. And if you weren't sold on Sam Ehlinger before, you just need to go back and watch this run he's been on. He's been spectacular. He's leading his team. He's the hardest worker on this team. He is now the unquestioned leader of the Longhorns, and there's no doubt about it.
Playbook open here, 2nd and 1. Ingram in the backfield. Jump cut. Ingram. 1st down. Willie Harvey eventually brings him down. Tom Herman told us coming into this game, he feels like Texas now has the title of the most physical team in the Big 12. But the #1 challenger to that crown is Iowa State.
They're winning it right now. They're winning at the line of scrimmage. Their backs, their quarterback, their wide receivers are finishing the runs.
I saw Willie Harvey peeking in. Andrew Beck now comes to the line. Another give to Ingram. Good push for 6 yards, refusing to go down again.
You know, Lowell, toughness is a mindset. And this week in practice, Tom Herman was very adamant. He spoke to you earlier in the week and he said, we're going to come out, we're going to put our pads on, we're going to tackle, we're going to get back to that. You know, oftentimes some coaches will take a step back, but he knew that in order for it to transition to the football field, you've got to do it every day on the practice field. It's got to be a mindset. You've got to learn how to fight through adversity, through pain. And this Texas team, despite them not showing much of it last year, this has been their theme and their motto all year long.
Ingram, another carry, so patient, silky smooth, breaks out of the tackle, and then tries to lay the thud on Eisworth. So close to Ingram breaking free for the score. 20 yards for the freshman.
Oh, wow, look at this. I mean, this kid has a ton of potential. Yeah, and he's got the wiggle. He can hit the home run ball, but the toughness there from the freshman is what's impressive.
Ehlinger's going to throw, play action. Back to Ingram. This is his drive, but a big thud put on him by Marcel Spears.
So you've got 4 wide receivers out and 7 guys covering. So that just clogs the windows. So if you're Sam and you wonder, well, why is he checked down Charlie today? Because his defense is not giving up the big play. And so Sam is taking the right decision. That is excellent 1st down yardage, which now sets you up to continue to manage the sticks, chip away, and pick up those ever so important 1st downs.
Tim Beck told us 5-yard gain against Iowa State is a really good play.
Absolutely.
Patience, patience for Ehlinger. Here comes the blitz. Ingram gets a couple as Willie Harvey was coming strong.
And that's one thing that this defense does. They time their blitzes extremely well. And that usually means that a quarterback has to change up his cadence. The linebackers for Iowa State, they can all cover. I mean, they'll come up, they'll blitz you, they'll cover guys in underneath coverage. Very athletic bunch that immediately when you watch film, you can understand why this defense plays so well against the run and the pass.
10th play of the drive. Second chance to convert on 3rd down. Ehlinger to Ingram. He's looking end zone. He's finding end zone. Keontae Ingram. Pay dirt.
Once again, Sam Ehlinger, outstanding decision. You've got to be patient, but you've got to be quick when you know you've got the right read. That time they're not hesitating, getting the ball out into the flat to his young freshman running back, Keontae Ingram. Ingram doing the rest, picking up blocks on the outside edge. And Texas right now really enforcing their will upon the Cyclones, coming out with some big plays and momentum.
And that is a gut punch of a drive. You want to make teams drive in the Big 12? How about 10 plays, 94 yards? Getting oh so close to finding out who the Final Four will be to play for the national championship. 14-3, Texas over Iowa State. As Keontae Ingram now has 76 total yards. True freshman from Carthage, looking healthy.
This kid has a high ceiling. You know, you saw there the toughness, and he got banged up earlier in the year. I thought he was really running and giving this team a spark. It looks like he's back to his top form.
Wangu from the 4. Brought down after a short game. So everything means so much this time of year. The big game that had ramifications for this is West Virginia losing at Oklahoma State. This is big for Oklahoma now. They lead 21-10 against the Kansas Jayhawks. At this point in time, the Sooners, they may be the only shot now for the Big 12. Probably are to get into the Final Four.
No, I think you're right. And especially with the way that you've got Alabama and Georgia. And I think if those teams went out and then you end up meeting in the conference, they could both get in. And then you got LSU hovering. Strong conference there. And then the Big Ten, who knows what will happen out there.
Derek Johnson showing blitz, but flag on the play.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
So this is the noisiest part of the stadium. With the way that Texas has moved,
9 minutes,
the students now to the southern part of the stadium. That's where the visiting fans used to be. And for the first time in a long time, fans are now a factor in the way the games have played. Critical drive here for the Cyclones. Nuwagu chased out by Chris Boyd. What do the Cyclones need to do to get this thing going?
Big play. You know, big play, or for Brock Purdy to do what he's done all year long and bring out that magic. and do something that defies this defense, gets their momentum back on their side. Because right now, this Texas defense is playing with confidence. They're tackling better than they did a week ago, and they are applying pressure. That time they're stringing the play out, and there was nowhere to run for the running back.
Only 91 yards for the Cyclones. Texas has allowed at least 503 straight. 2nd and 16. Malcolm Roach nearly gets him. And extending to try to make the catch is Milton. It's incomplete.
And Purdy felt the pressure there coming off the edge from Malcolm Roach. And Chris Boyd in good coverage downfield. Now a 3rd and long situation. You can't give up a big play here. If I'm Todd Orlando, I drop numbers back. I keep everything in front of me. Here's where you need Charles Omenihu in a one-on-one situation to pin his ears back, go get the quarterback, or at least get a quarterback hurry.
Butler lined up inside. Purdy with time. And it sounds high. Is it picked off? Yes. Chris Brown with the interception. Number 1 for Chris Brown.
This starts with pressure up front. They bring a delayed blitz. Purdy, who's been rattled all night tonight, don't count him out yet, because it's exactly where West Virginia had him too. The delayed blitz there, it gets pressure, doesn't allow him to get into that throw. And as a wide receiver, if the ball comes off your hand, you've got to make that catch. What about the athletic interception on the back end to haul in the play? And this Texas defense right now on fire as they hand the ball back out to Super Sam.
They are so depleted in the secondary right now, relying on young guys with not a lot of run to make those plays. And Texas, big difference when they force turnovers under Todd Orlando. And that ultimately
of an interception is under review.
So they're going to review this play, but back to takeaways. That's ultimately how you win a football game, when you allow 595 yards, because that's what they allowed Texas Tech to do. But 3 takeaways, all in the red zone for Texas at that.
Yeah, and those were key. And I think if you don't get those, you know, Texas Tech offense was starting to really pick up some momentum and dominate the game the latter part of that stretch. And one thing Todd Orlando said is, we've got to do a better job of dominating. It appears as though that's really hard to tell. And I thought that left hand appears to be underneath the football. So it doesn't matter if it touches the ground, as long as it's secure there. I don't see it popping out anywhere. He rolls over the top of it. I think this call will stand. But Todd Orlando told us, he said, the last 9 minutes of the football game is where our team really needs to learn to finish. And And I think if we can do that, we'll have a good shot as Texas up 14-3 over the Cyclones.
Some job boards give you tons of the wrong resumes.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field of an interception stands as called. It's first down, Texas.
Iowa State had gone turnover-free in 2 straight games. That streak comes to an end because of the mitts of Chris Brown, only the 3rd interception of the year for Brock Purdy. Swing pass to Humphrey, breaks a tackle, lowers the shoulder, and it's close to the first down. A gain of close to 10 yards. Little Jordan Humphrey, so physical, 448 yards after the catch, and that's not just running away from guys, that's running over guys as well.
And at 6'5", he plays like he's a cut there, getting in and out of it, dropping those hips. That's a special talent.
Watson picks up about 4. Ryan Vance and Lawrence White there for the stop.
And Tom is so complimentary of Watson and what he's brought to this team. You got a young freshman running back in Keontae Ingram who you think will be great, but Watson has kind of been the stabilizing force for that running back room.
Ellinger to his right to Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay on his best stretch as a Texas Longhorn. Past 3 games, 13 catches, 215 and 3 touchdowns. Keeping the hot streak going. Longhorns quickly to the line. And they check with the sideline for the play.
They like LJ down here.
Johnson bottom of the screen, Humphrey in the slot. And Watson cannot spin out of those tackles by the Cyclones defense.
And that's what's really unique about this defense. You'll have numbers in the box on them, and it'll be a favorable matchup. You try to run the football, and these guys fly around. They take pride in hitting, and they finish plays.
Texas offense in no rush with a 14-3 lead and in the red zone. Ellinger rides it with Watson, comes up throwing, but it's incomplete.
And there goes that speed there. Willie Harvey at 6 foot, 224 pounds, probably projects more as a safety at the next level, but he's a thumper. And you saw him there chasing down Sam Ellinger, forcing a 3rd down here. This is one of the toughest areas to score on down here. And it appears as though they really are trying to put an underneath defender underneath little Jordan Humphrey. Down here, he's extremely dangerous. And you know what also can make you pay here? Sam Ellinger's feet.
Cyclones need this stop on 3rd and 8 in the red zone. Ellinger, clean pocket. He's flushed. Staying with it. And finally brought down by Orion Vance as there was good pressure initially from Jamal Johnson.
Another good decision. You know, this time he's been breaking pocket to his left. He gives the old Cinderella spin there in the backfield, comes back to the right side. There was nothing there, and you can see coaching staff complimentary there, because the reality of it is let's take these points. Our defense gives us a turnover. Let's score off with a turnover. And you just tip your hat to Iowa State's defense, who's one of the best inside of the 10 in the red zone.
Cameron Dicker from 28. And it's good. But mark down that red zone stop for Iowa State. If they can get the offense going, they're saying no good on Dicker's kick.
That is a big time stop.
So really highlight that drive now.
100%.
Off the turnover, and Dicker with another look. Indeed, wide right, big stop.
Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Wonder what that conversation is like with the Texas specialists. Probably asking, what just happened? A gimme for Cameron Dicker. And Ahmad, on this angle, it's clear. It was close, but wide right. Now, this is the break that Iowa State needed.
You're right.
Brock Purdy looked good early on. Started 5 of 9 for 53 yards. He has missed on his last 5 attempts. 5:53 until the Cyclones get David Montgomery back. Nwangu brought down by Stearns. Tackle for loss, the second tonight for the freshman from Cibolo Steel.
He's running that alley extremely well. And then he's finishing the plays. And tackling is about making sure that you're constantly judging how fast the other player is, how strong he is, what type of moves does he have in his bag. And when you hit that lane, you've got to project that. And Stearns has a lot of potential. And you can tell he's been listening to Michael Huff, who's out at practice every day and wearing that 7 every once in a while. You can tell that this kid has a very bright future and is going to be a good football player for the Longhorns.
Let's face it, that's where Iowa State misses Montgomery.
I would agree.
One of the best running backs in America at forcing missed tackles. Purdy will throw, and he gets to the big target, Butler. And the Texas defense will try to come up with a stop on 3rd down. Last 3 games, 38 points per game allowed for Todd Orlando's group. 558.3 tonight, much better.
Yeah, it's uncharacteristic. And the tackling, I think, when you know Todd Orlando and you followed his career, that's one thing that happens here under his defense is they're tough. Can they be tough here on a 3rd and short situation? They brought in some muscle. Iowa State has. They like to run out of this set. Let's see what they've got worked up for the Longhorns.
Jones in motion. To Nwangu. He's got the first down, looking for more. P.J. Foster will bring him down. But Nwangu gets the Cyclones cooking into Texas territory with the 23-yard pickup.
And Foster just saved a touchdown. Nwangu, when he gets on the backside, he can burn. And there you saw a few missed tackles, leads to a big play. And if you're Iowa State, that's the momentum you need to start charging down the field and punch one in the end zone.
Purdy looking deep to Butler. Some contact there with Davis, no flags, as that ball was thrown high.
I like what he did there. He cut off the route. So what you want to see is, you'll see here at the end of the route, see he's on the top of the route and he cuts it off right there. What it does is that's that natural contact. Hey, bump him back. And when you've turned back to the ball, listen, all things are fair in coverage downfield like that. And that's great coverage there from Devontae Davis, on one of the top wide receivers in the country.
Half Purdy's pass attempts have gone to big number 18, Hakeem Butler. Breckenhager slips free. And Hager on senior night with the Willie Nelson locks, bringing down Brock Purdy.
Yeah, one arm too. You see the right elbow brace there. You want to talk about toughness. I mean, this dude, he goes on block, just a free release, and that's a tough matchup there for Nwangu, the running back, trying to take on the captain, Breckenhager. This is the position that Todd Orlando loves to be in. Now it gives him an opportunity, really, to bring those blitzers, confuse this young freshman quarterback. Now can the secondary hold up on the back end, not allow anything over their head.
Amenahu may have been hold, and there is the flag. Amenahu got in as quickly as he wanted to. And to save a sack, right tackle held.
Offense, number 74. The penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
So Bryce Meeker, the guilty party. Amenahu got through quick.
And yeah, Amenahu knew he had a shot. You know, those 3rd and long situations for defensive ends, and especially with as hot as he's playing right now, those are your moments, you know, and you don't get many of those in a ball game. And Amenahu taking advantage of it there and forcing the penalty. And this Texas defense bowling their back, forcing a punt, bring that offense back out on the field.
Dunn to punt to Jamison. That's a boomer. Jamison will let it go into the end zone for the touchback. So after the red zone stop, the Texas defense with a stop of their own behind Hager.
This tailgate event, visit buyatoyota.com.
Not sure I've ever been around a player who feels the honor of playing for the University of Texas as much as Brecken Hager, and it means so much to the young man.
His energy is felt, and I don't care where you're at, you've got to feel this kid. And he's really helped, as Tom Herman called this senior class, the change agents. He's helped them get over the top and be relevant again in college football.
Ehlinger all day, but goes to the check down, which is a really good play against this Iowa State defense.
So 3 wide receivers in a route with 7 in coverage, right? So, I mean, those are the types of numbers. You're not going to find many windows. And I think the next step for him, he's running these check downs. Now take off with your feet. Force them to put a spy on you, which now takes a defender away from coverage. And I think that's the way, if you're Sam Ehlinger, you've got to play the mind game that this defense is trying to play with you, with them.
10 of 13, 122 yards. Also has a rushing touchdown to his credit. And Ehlinger will run. Stood up by Willie Harvey. But a good gain from the sophomore quarterback out of Austin Westlake High.
How many times do you see that where a quarterback is just extremely bigger than a linebacker?
Yeah.
But this is what this kid is. And if you've never really seen Sam up close and personal, this kid has tree trunks.
Yes,
I mean,
he does.
The lower half of his body, and you wonder, how does he break these tackles? I mean, his base is strong, and he's hard to move, and that's why he's so effective in these short distances like this in running the football.
To Watson for the first down. Coming up, it's Texas game day at the half. Alex Loeb, got Michael Griffin,
Crew, MG27,
Jordan Shipley,
baby.
Ricky Williams. Hello, guys. Breakaway run for Trey Watson. His biggest run as a Texas Longhorn, and he's into Cyclones territory. Ricky Williams will like that. That will be a candidate for the Ricky on Texas game day final.
That's the offensive line there. He goes untouched. And the crease was there. They're really clearing the space. And this Texas offense right now, like I said, they're leaning on the Cyclones. You can see those big boys with those hands on those hips. It's been a long day for them so far.
Longest run by a Texas running back this season.
First time out of the half, Iowa State.
Timeout, Cyclones. So something cooking here with Trey Watson and Sam Ehlinger in that Texas backfield. And 1:28 on the clock. Texas will be feeling a lot better about their chances, knowing they could potentially go up 21-3. How that would potentially affect the game, the way it's played with David Montgomery coming back in the second half.
Yeah, and earlier we saw this team get a chance to see that West Virginia had gone down, and I told the story to you. I said, in 2001, we were playing in the Big 12 title game. We knew Florida had lost, and if we win the Big 12 title game against Colorado, a team we had beat a few weeks prior, that we were going to play for a national title, and it affected us the wrong way. This team has come out unfazed. They've come out, they've been focused, they've been on a mission, and they see that their goal is right in front of them. And this team right now is playing with a purpose.
That was the longest run of the year for Texas, 39 yards. Trick play to Gerard Hurd. He's got blockers. Well, the blockers can't stop Anthony Johnson. Little razzle-dazzle for the former quarterback.
Now check this out. Now I want you to watch this linebacker run for tack and toe for toe. Harvey. Look at this. When he just flat out flies. And that's what when you see this defense, that's what makes them so special. Their team speed, their effectiveness, the way that they tackle. That play should have worked on just about any defense. You had the edge.
Had the big boys out there, but the little guys for the Iowa State defense a lot more nimble.
Indeed.
Than the big guys in burnt orange. Loss of 2 on the play. Watson left side. Johnson gives them a good block. And he is tripped up and brought down by Lawrence White. Sophomore DB from Bakersfield, California. Trey Watson, the grad transfer from California. Cal Berkeley is where he played. From Corona, California. 115 rushing yards for the Longhorns in this second quarter We're under a minute before the half.
Now I want you to look at the numbers inside of the box here. It's 5 on 4.
That's why Ehlinger can't find anybody. Until Devin Duvernay comes back to help out his quarterback, and that is a big 3rd and 5 conversion.
Now that's how you do it. Originally his route was intended to be downfield, but once you get in behind those underneath defenders, they don't see you. They don't have eyes in the back of their head. Duvernay doing the smart thing of working for his quarterback, working back to the ball and to the sideline, and Ehlinger finding him.
36 seconds left, 2 timeouts by the Longhorns. Ehlinger, play action, he's flushed and brought down by White. And you could tell Ehlinger was thinking on the way down, do I do something crazy right here?
Well, and here's go him playing with some moxie and then playing with also some awareness. He tucks that football back in. That's the right play to make. Hey, give your team and yourself another opportunity to fight this out. You're inside of the 2-minute drill. For quarterbacks, you're judged on how clutch you can be in these moments. And Ehlinger has, frankly, he's made a living this year in these moments, capitalizing on them.
He would have thrown that ball last year.
100%. And we all know what that probably would have led to.
So White comes up with the sack. First sack for him. Can Iowa State stay within striking distance, knowing they are getting the electric, the elusive David Montgomery back after halftime?
Now, you've got one timeout here, so when you look at how to manage the game, you still, some of the routes across the middle of the field are still on board. You still can pick up a first down inside of the 5.
Texas used their second to last timeout. More time for Ehlinger, looking underneath for Johnson. Johnson with the move, out of bounds. And Spears forces him out.
It's good work there. I thought he was about to make a silly decision and turn back in and get tackled in bounds, but Colin Johnson finding that sideline and figuring out a way here.
So 3rd and 14, what's the recipe against this Iowa State defense?
We'll find the right matchup. That's first and foremost. And as you scan the field right now, your 2 guys that you're really looking for, Colin Johnson and little Jordan Humphrey, who's in the slot, who appears to be lined up on a safety, despite it being the Cyclones' best defender.
Top of the screen is Johnson. Ehlinger was locking in on him. Slips one tackle and the move. Ehlinger. Is the ball out?
That ball was jarred loose. And he took a shot at the end of that play. Ehlinger.
But the clock would continue to run. Let's see. The ball does come out. Greg Eisworth was there.
And that's not a good sign.
This is the 3rd and final timeout of the half.
Seeing your quarterback take a hit on that right shoulder.
30 seconds. Please put 7 seconds on the game clock.
What a hit, though, from Greg Eisworth.
He's a playmaker now. And I said it earlier, he's like the Tasmanian devil. And
oh, look at this. Ehlinger is down in pain.
Yeah, that was a shot directly on that right shoulder.
He's had the issue there already. Suffered that in the opening drive. And the game against Baylor, Shane Buechele entered and helped Texas get that win. Obvious pain on the face of Sam Ehlinger.
And this is where you have to balance those moxie plays and those plays where he shows his toughness and what he's made a living for, right? Making those types of gutsy plays. If you're Sam, you've got to now understand the importance that you mean to this team. As Dicker comes back here, he's already missed one tonight, a 28-yarder. Can he put this one through?
And timeout.
Second timeout of the half.
So this is big for so many reasons. Obviously with the health and condition of Sam Ehlinger, but for Greg Eisworth to make this stop short of the chains and force Texas to go for the field goal, this is another one of those sequences to really remember.
You're right. And, you know, he's given up nearly 40 pounds to Ehlinger. And I tell you what, the Texas offensive staff was impressed with the way they play him. And, you know, Sam, you understand why he's going for that extra yard. He was aware of the marker. I mean, he's that type of player. He knew what he needed to get. And this time the Iowa State defense, led by number 12, wins against number 11.
Feel sorry for the guy that may have to have the conversation with Ehlinger about whether he stays in this game. No way you were getting him to leave at this point in time. Dicker up and good from 22 yards out. But still mark that as a stop for the Cyclones in the red zone. Now back-to-back drives for Texas that have gone into the 20, only leading to 3 points.
And if you're Iowa State, you're still in this ballgame. I mean, despite how poorly you've played in the first half, you're down by 14. That's 2 possessions. If you could come out here and get some stops, you go into halftime knowing that you haven't played your best. Now, I'll say this. Against West Virginia, this is the Cyclone team as Sam Ehlinger goes into the locker room early. This Cyclones team, right, they didn't play all that great early on in the ball game, but then something clicked. They've got the potential, especially with all the offensive weapons they have, Lowell, that when they get hot, they can put 14, 21 points on the board extremely fast.
Part of the reason why Iowa State perhaps has not been at their best is they are without arguably their best player. David Montgomery got into the altercation in the second half of the win against Baylor, ejected. That led to an automatic suspension the first half of this game. 2 seconds on the game clock away from being ready to return. And the way those 2 red zone drives went, he will get back in a situation where Iowa State certainly is within striking distance.
Absolutely.
So squib kick. The Cyclones take a knee. And that will take us into the break. So the most pressing question of halftime will be the condition of Sam Ehlinger. We saw him take that shot from Eisworth, grimace in pain on the sideline, and leave before his team to presumably get checked out in the locker room.
And that's their leader. That's their guy. Chief playmaker.
At the half, though, Texas up on the Cyclones 17-3. Let's throw it down to Chris. Iowa State and Texas, the winner of this game. If it wins, then the regular season finale. They are likely playing in the Big 12 championship game. Lord Lindo here with Lamont Brooks. And what a turn of events we had in the final moments of the first half. Sam Ehlinger takes a hit from Eisworth. He leaves the game early. He goes to the locker room. We have not seen him return to the field of play quite yet. This is the hit from Eisworth. Shane Buechele got out. He started to warm up. It looks like at this point in time, it's going to be Buechele's game.
Well, the thing is Buechele has a lot of experience, but that's not what you want to see. As your star player, your starting quarterback, headed into the locker room, and he's 12 of 15 on the day, 137 yards. He's chipped in 32 yards on the ground, averaging 4 yards a pop, and he's been the leader. He's been the guy that's gone out and get points. How does this Texas team respond in its first drive?
So Texas potentially loses its best players. Humphrey takes the kick to open up the second half, just north of the 20. While Iowa State, they get their best player back. David Montgomery is now eligible to return. Ehlinger has not returned from the locker room, so it is Shane Buechele's show. And look at the bottom here, the quote from Tom Herman saying that Buechele is the most engaged backup he's ever been around. Got to keep this in mind. He played most of the game a few weeks ago against Baylor. Led Texas to a close win. He also was the quarterback last season in Ames in the win against the Cyclones, going 19 of 26, 171 yards, a touchdown and an interception, while also rushing for 42 yards. He's seen Iowa State. The Cyclones have seen him. And Texas opens up the second half with a short carry by Keontae Ingram. Good sight for Texas. Ehlinger is returning to the field of play. Still do not know his availability.
Yeah, but the good sign is he's moving that right shoulder. And when he went off of the field, he wasn't as fluid with that thing.
Back-to-back carries to Ingram. Nearly breaks out of one. Mike Rose brings him down. And that brings us to the Cold Hard Facts presented by Coors Light. Quarterbacks, Edge, Ehlinger. Purdy started well, but then really struggled at the end of the first half.
The shocking thing there is 0 yards rushing. He's got to get his feet activated and put some pressure on this Texas defense.
One interception from Purdy by Chris Brown. Only the third interception of the season by the freshman quarterback out of Arizona. Did not turn into points for Texas. So the Longhorns convert. New set of downs for Shane Buechele and company. And swallowed up. Tackle for loss. Spears with that stop. Let's check in with Chris Button on Sam Ehlinger.
Yeah, he's down here thrown on the sidelines. The official word from Texas is he's questionable. He has not been ruled out of this game.
Thank you, Chris. So that is the ultimate storyline to watch at this point.
And I think what you just saw there is now the D-line and the linebackers for the Cyclones can really tee off on the run with the running backs. Shane Buechele not as much of a threat as Sam Ehlinger, and you can play him differently.
Here comes the blitz. Eisworth trying to get home. The dump off to Humphrey. Beck trying to give him some room to work. Humphrey slips through one, slips through two. Rose eventually forces him out, but not before Humphrey could get 14.
Yeah, and this, they bring the house here. You've got more of a stationary quarterback, not as creative and off schedule as Sam Ehlinger, but the timing there. Buechele knew where he wanted to go with the ball as there's an injured player down on the field.
We'll check in on the Iowa State Cyclone down when we return here from Austin.
When we do play our A game, we can beat anybody in the country. Because of how hard we played, the tenacity really kept us in that game. We're preparing the way elite level teams prepare. He's playing at a very high level for us right now. I think it really fires up the rest of the guys around him. If we play with that kind of passion each and every week, we're going to have a chance to win a bunch of ball games.
A costly injury here for the Cyclones. Their star cornerback, DeAndre Payne, gets injured on this play. You'll see him right here in your screen as this play rolls through, and little Jordan Humphrey just runs through the tackle. He came up holding that right shoulder. Looks like he tried to strip. Maybe strained something there, as you can see that right arm for him somewhat dangling, and that would be a big loss for the Cyclones defense.
Buechele stays in at quarterback, 1st and 10 for the Longhorns. Play action, good pressure, and Buechele goes down. Matt Leo with the sack, the 6th tackle for loss for the Cyclones defense.
Well, yeah, and this is what you can't do with Buechele. With all due respect, he's just not the same player. And I think when you watch this play, run it, and you get an opportunity. I mean, and that's Beck, who's typically one of their better blockers. I mean, he just gets beat on an outside move. And if you're Buechele, you've got to continue to stay locked in the ball game, do what you do best, get that ball out of your hand quickly and make some plays.
2nd and forever, quick strike to Humphrey. Leo was there, but it was Arnold Azuna with the initial contact. So 3rd and long. And Cyclones defense licking their chops.
Yeah, this is the situation as Sam is being checked on the sideline. And if you're Sam, this is hard to watch. You know, you put yourself in a good position. And if you're Shane, this is why the backup quarterback is one of the hardest jobs on a football team. You know, you're wearing a ball cap, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into a leadership role and an impactful role. Shane Buechele is used to this, and let's see what he can do here on the 3rd.
Play it safe to Ingram. Ingram lowering the shoulder and a couple yards past the original line of scrimmage, but with a 17-3 lead. Probably a smart play there for Buechele.
Yeah, Beck coming across on a crosser, but it's hard when your eyes are there and you don't know if this pressure's coming, and this Iowa State defense does such a great job. Their defense coordinator, Haycock, mixing up a 6-man pressure with some fire zone coverages on the back end and then dropping people back in coverage, 4 under, 2 under. 8 deep, and the quarterbacks, they really have to be able to paint the picture, see the picture, and then be able to process the information they're getting.
Cyclone special teams mixing it up at the line of scrimmage, trying to get free, nearly blocked is Ron Bucheski, but he gets it off, and it's a beautiful punt with a little backspin down by P.J. Locke. Deshaunte Jones nearly had a game-changing play for Iowa State, but here is the good news. They take over, and David Montgomery is back.
I'll be bringing my own tonight. Nothing's gonna stop me now. This whole place is gonna be mine. I'm gonna run this town. What's she gonna do about it? What's she gonna say about me? Better not talk so loudly. I'm the king of the West. Yeah, I'm the king of the West.
Major Big 12 championship implications, and he is back. David Montgomery, one of the most elusive running backs in college football, has served his first half suspension and is in the backfield with Brock Purdy. And he gets the first carry. Elusiveness to the sideline. Montgomery, instant impact.
That's the difference. You know, and when you watch him on film, rarely does the first guy that gets there get him down. Watch this here. I mean, and that's an excellent job by Devontae Davis of bringing the pressure to him. You see that slide shuffle? I mean, this kid, for his size at 216, boy, does he have some sweet feet.
Still does not get enough attention on the national level. The overall numbers do not overwhelm you, but when you watch him play, you realize
he's a dude.
They've got a special talent in the backfield. 2nd and 3 to Montgomery. Slips out of the tackle from Devontae Davis, and he's going to be close to the first down.
I mean, even that play there, you know, going with the contact, right? Instead of him trying to impact Davis, he spins off and picks up another 1.5 yards and moves the chains. He's a very savvy player. He's good in pass protection. They utilize him out of the backfield. And if I'm the Cyclones, I feed it to him for the 3rd straight time. And what this also does, Lowell, that now you have to go one-on-one with the outside wide receivers.
And they do go back to Montgomery. Patience, open field, flag on the play as Montgomery takes it to the 35. Let's wait and see what the call is.
Holding, offense, number 57. Half the distance to the goal from the previous spot. It's first down.
That's a big one from Colin Newell. Redshirt freshman center. Right out of Ames.
And that hurts because, frankly, his position didn't even impact where the ball was going. And so you want to clean that up. And as offensive lineman, every defensive lineman will tell you that there's holding on every play. And every offensive lineman will tell you when I'm inside, I get a shot there. Chris Nelson battling with the unsung hero of this defensive line. And he just pulls him down. You know, once you're coming down at that point and your guy's not making a play, you've got to be more aware so that you don't negate a big-time play like you just did from Montgomery.
Hakeem Butler was so good early. He was quiet the 2nd quarter. Another carry for the Cyclones. And minimal yardage as Joseph Osai brings down Montgomery.
One thing is you know he's getting the ball. So it's not very hard to determine right now what the Cyclones are going to do. I mean, I'm sure this kid is hungry, and if you're Matt Campbell, you probably saw the look in your leader's eye, and he wants touches here. Now, but this also opens up the outside. Now you've got one or more space on the outside edge with Chris Boyd and Hakeem Butler. Now your top player on the outside edge in the perimeter has an opportunity to win those matchups.
Jones in motion. Butler at the bottom of your screen. Purdy rolling out. Will reset and fire to Butler. P.J. Locke can't bring him down. Foster and company are there. And that is a huge pickup on 2nd and 17 to set up a 3rd and short. And B.J. Foster is down. Texas is so thin in the secondary.
Looked like he just picked up some contact here on the end of that play. An offensive lineman coming to chip on the block. And as a defensive back, those are those plays that are so costly because you're trying to hold people up, and what you're taught typically defensively, right? You'll see the contact here at the end of this play. Offensive lineman doing what he's taught to do, get people off of his guy. But you've got to keep your head on a swivel. I mean, because those big boys are always trying to pick off the smaller DBs, and this would be costly because B.J. Foster he's got great instincts. I've been so impressed with what he and Caden Stearns have been able to do. It's a good sign to see him get up, and they need him because as you mentioned it, the numbers back there. Todd Orlando told us yesterday he's really having to mix and match, and he also said one thing that I haven't had to do before is I actually have to plan for injuries.
Yeah.
I have to really sit back, my staff and we have to say, you know what if this guy gets hurt? And he said, I've never really done that in the past, but that's the preparation they now have to do with a lot of these players being banged up and injured.
That's the question. Who is most likely to finish?
Amazing.
Chris Brown now takes B.J. Foster's spot on a critical 3rd and 1. Here comes the noise.
And there's any question here that Montgomery gets the ball, I think you give it right back to him and let the junior do some serious work. I like the inside zone.
And Montgomery has the first down.
And that's the play. I mean, that's what he's known for. And this is what this team, and especially this offensive line, and if you're Matt Campbell, now you're feeling good about yourself because when you can pick up 3rd and 1 and everybody in the building knows that Montgomery's about to get the ball in the middle of the field and you get it, now you're starting to enforce your will like Texas did in the first half versus the Cyclones.
Purdy taking the deep shot, looking for Butler. Butler hauls it in. Contested by Chris Boyd. Butler showing why he is so good, stretching the field.
Yeah, and he's got him on an island. And that's a great start there. He's wrestling, he's tussling, and that's about as good as you can do if you're Chris Boyd. Unfortunately, he's been on the opposite end too many times on that side of the play. Butler's a load.
Montgomery jump cut. Swallowed up by Stearns, another tackle for loss. And Caden Stearns, he has really struggled in the second half of the season, but it looks like he's coming back around.
Well, that right there shows me instinct and film study paying off in the game. Look, typically when they take a shot, they're going to come back and give you a good old dose of David Montgomery, and especially since this kid hasn't played in the first half, he's fresh. And this Texas defense now is able to tee off. The question will be, now that they've got to force numbers in to stop Montgomery, can these guys on the outside edge hold up and not give up the big play and allow them to work down the field with explosive plays?
Butler on the bottom of your screen, checked by Devontae Davis. They said the tackle by Stearns was at the line, so 2nd and 10. Foster quickly into the backfield, and another play right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you are an offensive team here in the Big 12, you better go ahead and attack these young DBs early. They've got a good crop of them with the safety position, got a couple young corners. They are aggressive, ton of swag, came in here day one ready to play. And Jason Washington, the defensive back coach, told me, he said, we've got us some dudes back there, and they're starting to really mature with the experience they've gotten their freshman and sophomore seasons.
To Montgomery, the swing pass, one man to beat, and he gets clogged up and driven back by Malcolm Roach. The return of Malcolm Roach critical for this Texas defense that is so thin.
And Todd Orlando thought that Malcolm had an outstanding practice this week, but Chris Boyd was really the player that forced that ball back inside to Malcolm, who was able to eat and who was running down the football. They've got their offense on the field, and listen, this is one of those opportunities where you've got your dude back in, David Montgomery, you've got your leader, you're starting to feel like you've got some momentum. And Texas is forcing numbers inside of the box, probably anticipating Montgomery has the ball, which leaves the guys on the outside edge in one-on-one matchups.
Ugly start to that play. Flags from every angle.
False start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. It's 4th down.
Huge blow to Matt Campbell and his offense.
And that right side, and it looked like that entire right side. I could jumped off sides there.
So Asali comes out for the 47-yard attempt. This would match his career long. 48-yard attempt for Asali. This would actually eclipse the long. It's up and no good. Wow, one of the best drives of the night for Iowa State, and it fizzes as you get closer to pay dirt.
This goes off the upright. You saw Texas miss one earlier. Now Iowa State coming back with an opportunity to score points, and they fell.
Scoreboard brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Look at the scores on the right side. This Oklahoma State win really put more significance on this matchup with Texas and Iowa State. Also key that Oklahoma is leading Kansas, because now with the OSU win, you combine that with Oklahoma holding off Kansas, and the winner of this game tonight will simply need to win the regular season finale to go to the Big 12 championship game. Buechele stays in the game. Sam Ehlinger was hurt late in the first half. Andrew Beck, his first catch brought down by Eisworth, but it's a first down for the senior.
He'll be missed. His energy. I thought last year, Tom Herman said that this was the one player they didn't want to lose. It's been good to see him back healthy again. And what he means to this team, it's more than just the leadership. It's the consistency. It's the ability to corral all the guys, and he is the voice in the locker room.
Had 12 catches for 159 yards in his career before entering this season. And the numbers far superior this year alone, 22 for 216 entering the game, as Eisworth has back-to-back stops, short pickup on first down. Watson right side, full head of steam. He's accelerating quickly as Buechele leading this Texas offense. If it was up to Sam Ehlinger, though, he wants his spot back. And this is what I was saying before we went to the half. I hate to be the guy to tell him no. He wants in so bad. This was on the previous drive for Texas.
Yeah, and if you're Tom Herman, you've got to think of the big picture. But I can tell you right now that Sam Ehlinger wants to play. But you're with the sensitivity of that right shoulder. You saw him take a major shot at the end of the first half, and that's the reason why he's out if you're just now joining us. And if Shane Buechele is going to move the ball like this, I think his best spot is with that headset on the sideline.
Especially if Watson and Ingram keep doing their thing. To Watson. Stutter step. Breaks out of form tackle. And has a good gain on first down. Yeah, Watson is now putting together his best game as a Texas Longhorn. He's at his Texas career high, 11 carries for 81 yards. Now has 2 catches for 8 yards. He does not blow you away, but he is solid and reliable.
Very consistent.
2nd and 4. Back to Watson. And eventually brought down by Lawrence White.
And he just makes good decisions. That time there, play was designed to go more in the middle, but he sees to cut back on the outside and hits it. I mean, it's just that simple. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't just execute the play. And from day one, he's really stabilized the running back position. And then they bring in this young talented freshman, Keontae Ingram, who's got the home run power. We saw him earlier running through tackles and also showing off some speed.
And focus on the game clock. It is going quickly now. 1:46 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Buechele. Oh, initially Humphrey didn't get it. If at first you don't succeed, try again, and Humphrey does.
I don't know all the people there from South Lake Carroll who watched this young man You know how talented he was. Watch this. Just bat the ball up. And that's excellent concentration. That's a catch. He's playing out of his mind right now.
Texas goes quickly to Gerard Hurd. And Hurd is fighting for extra yards. Azuna brings him down, but a couple extra at the end there from Gerard Hurd.
It's great to see him. He's just, you know, he's so unselfish. I mean, we remember him dazzling here against Cal, and we thought we had the next coming of Vince Young, and his career has gone up and down. But the one thing that's been consistent, he is a team player. He's committed to doing whatever this team has asked him to do. And you need more guys like that. He's the ultimate role player. We know he's got outstanding talent. And I think he's become a better wide receiver, and I know his teammates respect him.
No one has more total yards in a game for Texas than Gerard Hurd, with his record-setting performance against Cal as a freshman. Humphrey bodying up the defender, breaks free. Humphrey smelling end zone, got it. There may be a receiver out there more difficult to take down than little Jordan Humphrey, but Ahmad Brooks, I haven't seen him.
Well, the guy on the other sideline, but this is a special play. I mean, listen, when you're this big, you body up a smaller defensive back, and I mean, you just shake them off. But the athleticism, we saw this last week, right, where he catches the ball. It was amazing versus Texas Tech that he caught the ball, but then how nimble he was to stay in bounds. And I asked Tom Herman yesterday, I said, how did a guy at 6'5" stay in bounds like that? How do you make a nimble move like that as if you're 5'5"? Little Jordan Humphrey is the real deal. I love his passion. I love what he brings to the table. To check him one-on-one, you better bring your big boy pads, or this guy will find the end zone.
Young forever, oh, yeah.
I mean, and keep in mind, he's thrown a touchdown pass. He's run for a touchdown. I mean, you know, what can't this kid do? And I love his energy. You go out to practice, you watch him. He's all business. And then he gets out on the field, and he just kicks butts and takes names.
55 yards after the catch tonight for Humphrey. Tackle from behind is made by John Burt. Senior getting in on the special teams. Break this down.
Well, it's a great read, number one, by Shane Buechele. He wanted the tight end in the middle of the field, but when you've got a one-on-one matchup on the outside edge, he threw the ball also in the right location. You want to give Humphrey an opportunity to come back to this football, win that matchup, and boy, is he explosive. When it's opportunity for him to break a tackle, for him to push for extra yardage, he shines.
Last 3 games, 23 catches, 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. None bigger than that game winner last week in Lubbock.
Oh, yeah.
Purdy getting close to desperation mode. To Butler, he can't haul it in. Chris Boyd in coverage. But what you have here tonight is 2 amazing receivers that feel slighted that the Biletnikoff finalist list came out and neither Butler nor Humphrey were included.
I'm not sure how that happened. And I can tell you this much. I mean, you know, these are both 2 juniors, and I personally think that the guy for Iowa State is a little more polished. And I think little Jordan could do for 1 more year here. But, I mean, you're talking about 2 guys that are going to play on Sundays. Butler, when he's playing at his best, I believe is the best wide receiver in this conference.
To Montgomery. Chris Nelson is there. Aminahu as well. And there is the first Nelly rub of the night.
You gotta love it. I love the big boys, man. Always providing entertainment, and you know, it was a surprise to Tom that this guy was voted one of the captains at the beginning of the year because he's a quiet leader. But the way that he plays in the middle, it's hard to deny his impact as we head into the 4th quarter with the Texas Longhorns with a convincing lead over the Cyclones.
Texas 1 quarter of football away from getting back into the driver's seat in that race for the Big 12 championship game. 24-3 Longhorns after 3.
You're watching Longhorn Network? Hook 'em.
And the most challenging path to the college football playoff. Every game matters.
Very spirited student section, 24-3. Horns with a convincing lead, and the seniors on defense, Chris Boyd, Brecken Hager, Charles Amenahu, all making plays and impact tonight. The best play in a long while for Chris Boyd, and it was special. And then Brecken Hager, the energy, the driving force, the hammer for this defense. And how about this? The pigtails looking like Willie Nelson.
You were always
my man. Please stay here forever.
He's a chameleon. Purdy overshoots Butler. Brown almost had his second interception. Now last week, Hager came out with the crossbar, like the vertical one going down his face mask and in the neck roll.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't want him to leave the University of Texas. I mean, can we find a reason to make this guy stay? I mean, he's just, and he's so ruthless and tough. And I think he really sets the tone. If you're a young player and you're watching this kid, and you always hear the coaches talk about how hard he practices.
Yeah.
He practices just as hard as he plays. This kid's motor is constantly running.
He loves his place. Low punt. Jamison gave it a look. And it's inside the 25. Shane Buechele, I mean, he waits for his moment. This was a record-setting true freshman quarterback. Ehlinger beats him out. And Buechele has to wait for moments like this, and he's ready.
Well, I mean, Texas is, you know, they're one of the best teams in the country at being in a position where you've got an experienced guy. He's played in some big games. Now, though he's had a roller coaster of a career and really just ran into a guy like Sam Ehlinger, who's his moment, Shane Buechele can play. I mean, he's played at this level. We know he can win games here, and that's got to be fun for him. And I think Tom made the right decision earlier when Sam was lobbying to get back in the game, which what it appeared, that you leave Shane in, you need him to get this valuable experience.
Ingram brought down at the line of scrimmage. And it is now Ehlinger and Buechele. Buechele 8 for 8, and Ehlinger was really, really good to start off this game.
Here are the keys here. 0 interceptions. Right?
You just jinxed that.
Yeah, 0 interceptions. And I don't know about jinx. I'm just saying these guys are playing smart with the football, and they really haven't thrown into the teeth of this defense. That's how you avoid making the costly mistakes, because the Cyclones want to force you into that throw and then go eat.
Texas has been fine trying to take advantage of what Iowa State has given them. Buechele trying to wait. Hey, little shovel pass to Andrew Beck. Hey, that's a shortstop flip, right? Trying to turn the double play in the hole there.
Yeah,
that's what he did back in his high school days. His pops, longtime major leaguer.
A family full of Sooners as well. And Buechele, just an upstanding young man. And when you talk to him, you can tell that no matter what this kid does, if he plays the next level or not, I mean, he's going to go on to do some big things, impact people's lives with his spirit, the way he lives his life. And it's good to see him come out tonight and have a good game.
Third and 4. Buechele will run. And he is tackled a yard shy of the first down marker, brought down by Mike Rose. Rose has had a solid night for the Cyclones. One of the guys that will be a centerpiece going forward for what is still a very young Iowa State team.
They're talented. And Matt Campbell has done a phenomenal job of recruiting and then developing that talent. And they've got something good happening in Iowa State. And if you're in the Big 12 and you know anything about what this creative and innovative defense that Haycock and this staff have come up with, Cliff Kingsbury calls it revolutionary. Tom Herman told us yesterday, he said, it's got to be pretty cool to create your own defense. And so it's making noise, and so are the Cyclones. They are relevant.
Fair catch at the 25. 12:22 left to play. The Cyclones need to get something going and do it in a hurry, or else that tower is getting lit.
On Longhorn Network is brought to you by Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. 21 means 21.
This is the 500th game played here at Darrell K. Royal, Texas Memorial Stadium. You've seen the transformation through the years, and another transformation has taken place Chris Del Conte, athletics director, has done a phenomenal job to bring life back to this stadium. Purdy finds an open man, and it is Chase Allen. And you have many memories, big role in this legacy and the history here inside these walls.
It's just great to be a part of a place with so much history. And you come here so that you can play a part of some of those big games.
Montgomery trying to show the shakes. Devontae Davis brings him down. First down run for Montgomery. Anybody that travels in this state up and down I-35 knows it's a nightmare. But there's always something comforting, right? Seeing those lights as Garrett Johnson takes down Birdie to the west side of 35. It is an unmistakable part of the landscape here in Austin, Texas. Gary Johnson playing his senior night here in DKR. He's had a fantastic 2-year run as a JUCO transfer for Todd Orlando's Texas defense. 2nd and 15 as Brock Purdy, for maybe the first time in his career, has actually looked like a freshman. Flushed. Foster giving chase. Foster brings him down.
That is an explosive tackle. This kid, he'll knock your socks off. We saw him with a big hit in West Virginia. And the closing speed here, he's taking on, he's battling with an offensive lineman. He comes off the closing speed there to match up. And Purdy, thinking he had more time, Foster said, no, sir.
Nine sacks for the Texas defense in the past 2 games. 3rd and 25. Purdy finally feels the pressure. Upended and brought down by P.J. Locke. You know, that's the thing. When have we seen Purdy get away, which is part of his game? It has not happened tonight.
Today, you know, he ran into a defense that was ready for this challenge. And the staff earlier for the Cyclones said it. They knew this was going to be a challenge for the young man. Todd Orlando runs a defense that also is complex and complicated for a young mind to be able to process through and to make the right decisions. And you see Matt Campbell there talking to him there as he calls plays and just trying to make sure your freshman doesn't lose hope. You've still got the rest of the season to play, but he's taking some lumps tonight at the expense of this Texas defense.
Jamison will field it off the hop. And it is brought down shy of the 15. Texas trying to pull away from the Cyclones. It's 24-9.
Playing at a very high level for us right now. I think it really fires up the rest of the guys around it. If we play with that kind of passion each and every week, we're going to have a chance to win a bunch of ball games.
What a scene here inside DKR. Texas up on Iowa State, 24-3. The cell phone lights are out. Journey is blaring through the speakers. Of course, especially when it's Don't Stop Believing, right?
True.
Because the title hopes look dim after back-to-back losses for Texas against Oklahoma State and West Virginia.
Yeah.
Tom Herman even says he made a mistake after the loss against Oklahoma State, that he talked big picture with his team, and it backfired. That was a special moment, AB. Bouchel will keep. 7-yard gain for Bouchel. Now it's time for our StubHub 2018 schedule. After this, road trip to Kansas. Kansas hung tough for a little while, especially the first half with Oklahoma. If Texas can secure this win, all they need is one win in Lawrence, and they are going to the Big 12 championship game.
What an amazing turnaround. And here's the thing. We've seen teams, national title teams, struggle on the road. When Vince Young had to put on his cape and make something happen in Kansas in their title run. Look, Kansas is a weird place to play. And if you don't have your mind right and you're not focused or you're looking ahead, the Jayhawks, who are a much improved team, let me tell you now, they are a much improved team. The Texas Longhorns have to come back to the drawing board, put this one behind them, and give themselves an opportunity, right, to finish this season strong. And I asked Tom yesterday, I said, what does this team need to do to finish strong? You know, you've got all of your goals in place. He tried to shoot it down, but we understand that Texas is doing something that all of these guys on this roster, they don't know anything about. They don't know about competing in November and having an opportunity for a conference title. How do you balance that? That you want them to keep their confidence at the same time, not make it a big deal? I don't know.
31 carry for Trey Watson, tripped up, but he will have the first down. White makes the stop. And you know, we talked about Bouchel. There's a few players that need to be pointed out on both sides for doing things the right way.
Indeed.
You have Shane Bouchel, who could have left after losing his job.
Yeah.
Gerard Hurd was the future of the quarterback position at Texas. He could have been gone. Mike Warren was the Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year for Iowa State. Was phenomenal and quickly got passed up. He stood around. Kyle Kemp as well, coming back for the 6th year of eligibility. Got hurt in the opening game against Iowa, but has helped Brock Purdy so much in his development as a quarterback. You don't see stories like that from great players that fall down on the depth chart for various reasons, sticking around this day and age.
You've got to have the right mindset. And, you know, I remember when I lost my job here as a junior, and, you know, you lose it to an All-American, a guy who goes on to be a Pro Bowler in the NFL, and you're sitting around wondering, you know, you want to hold that pity party. Kyle Kemp has not done that. Shane Bouchel has not done that. And I think it's a lesson for all kids out there. You don't want to miss an opportunity to fight off adversity by running from it. And I think at the end of the day, you gain much more by sticking out the process. By sticking out the process, doing what's necessary, and really tapping into who you are as yourself. And I think that's an outstanding point you make, Lowell.
Let's check in with Chris Budden.
Well, and Kemp may get a chance to come in this game because Purdy injured his right knee, and Kemp has been warming up on the sidelines. When you talk to Matt Campbell about this kid, he's like, I didn't have to have a conversation with him about changing his mindset and being a coach for Purdy. He goes, it just comes naturally for this kid, and that is something that you just don't see a lot of, as you guys said, in college football.
So they may not pull this one out. Down 24-3 with 6 minutes left. But their finale against Kansas State also has major ramifications as Humphrey is shy of the first down. With another conference win, that will set the program record for most conference wins ever in a season.
And because of him. Matt Campbell had a chance to do the Texas Tech and Iowa State game. People in this conference respect him, people all around the country. And I can tell you this much. When you talk about a guy who's in a young body but has a mature and old way about him, he's got guys who've been coaching 30-some-odd years on his staff. He's only 38.
Yeah.
But he's won their respect. It's the way he does things, and this program will continue to ascend with a leader like Matt Campbell.
They've got a great one in Ames, Iowa, just getting started. We'll see if it will be Kemp in place of Purdy when we return.
Beat anybody in the country. Because of how hard we played, the tenacity really kept us in that game. We're preparing the way elite level teams prepare. He's playing at a very high level for us right now. I think it really fires up the rest of the guys around him. If we play with that kind of passion each and every week, we're going to have a chance to win a bunch of ball games.
Two fantastic quarterbacks, both going down with injuries. Late in the first half, Sam Ehlinger on the big hit from Greg Eisworth goes to the locker room early, has not returned, even though he lobbied his case with Tom Herman. And then on the last drive, Brock Purdy went high, B.J. Locke went low, and Purdy limped off. So this year's starter, the captain, the leader of this team, now checks in, and it's the senior, Kyle Kemp. Shovel pass to Montgomery. He's got room to rumble. Showing a nice burst, but he's brought down by Chris Brown. So this is something that both programs are going to be looking at intently going into their regular season finales.
Well, with so many things changing across college football, now you've got other teams looking at this player saying, you know, what's the situation? Now you can... Geez, Gary Johnson Another big hit there on the quarterback.
Devontae Davis just nearly had a moment he would remember forever. Pick 6 on senior night.
So many things are changing right now. Now coaches and programs are looking at other schools, what players are unhappy, and just with the landscape. And so when you've got a guy like Kyle Kipp that sticks it out, Kelly Bryant, for instance, transfers in the middle of the season. You know, he just walks in and I'm done. You know, and good thing Dabo Swinney was, and I'm also on the side of the student athlete that understands too, right? Like, you should have that choice, especially if a coach can leave your school today and go coach another school. So, I mean, I get it, but it does change the way college football is now being played.
Quick out for a few yards. P.J. Locke forcing out Tariq Milton. That's the Texas defense. They were gashed. Now, they were going up against some of the most prolific offenses in all of college football, but it was bad. 3 straight games, they allowed 500 yards. First time that's happened, second time that has happened since 1996.
It was just some clutch plays. The touchdown to Sills over the top, and then you give up the 2-point conversion. And so, you know, those things that can mess with your psyche. But you got to stay locked in. And tonight they've come out here prepared, ready, and they certainly put in work versus Brock Purdy in this offense.
Another shovel pass eaten up by Omenihu. Wheeler is there as well. So a couple of guys that will be playing for the final time here at DKR showing up to make plays. Omenihu has been very active tonight, as has Anthony Wheeler.
You know, Omenihu told us some stories in our conversation yesterday. You know, we just asked him, what has this been like? You know, you come in and, you know, you're part of that class with Malik Jefferson and some very talented players that some of those guys are playing on Sundays now. And to come out here, you didn't have anywhere near the career that you expected to have. And then he starts off the year slow, and he just talks about the process and enjoying it. And it's good to see him fulfill this now and to be a part of this class that's helping Texas turn some corners and potentially win a Big 12 title.
Chris Boyd trying to get out of the way. There is a flag on the punt.
Yeah, it's just not called for. I mean, at this point, you're up in the ball game, point to the scoreboard, walk back to your sideline, and just shut your pie hole. At this point, you want to make sure you play clean football, because these are the types of things that if you let your temper spill over into another game or another play, they could cost you big. And there's nothing to prove right now.
During the kick, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 18. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. It's first down, Texas. Timeout on the field.
Texas defense showing up to make things right. Omenihu, Wheeler. How about this symmetry for the Texas senior class? It's a class that experienced the burn of a loss to the Kansas Jayhawks, but will have a chance to beat the Kansas Jayhawks next week to go to the Big 12 championship game. And the seniors have been a large part of this process and this performance against Iowa State. Daniel Young, the carry on first down. Let's check in with Chris.
One of those seniors is Andrew Beck, who I talked to this week. I asked him what this university meant to him, and he said one word: home. He's had a lot of them throughout the years. His dad in the military, they moved 11 times growing up, so his 5 years here is the longest that he's ever spent in one place. The crazy thing is his parents have moved 3 more times since he's been living here in Austin. He said it was fantastic. I go help him move, and then I got to come back to my own home.
That's great.
Will this be the last time the Texas fans see Colin Johnson at DKR? Little Jordan Humphrey. They are players that will have decisions to make. Tom Herman talked about that process when we had our conversation yesterday. If it's a first rounder, gives him a pat on the back, says, see you later. I'll call you in a few years for a big donation to the university. If you're projected to be a second rounder, we sit down, we have a long conversation. If you're projected to go third round or later, you need to come back.
And I think that's right. And I don't think that either one of these guys yet have reached their full potential or anywhere close to it. And I think because of that, I think they both stay. Now, keep in mind, Colin Johnson has a dad who knows everything about the league, and all he's got to do is look to the All-American Johnny Johnson, who's a defensive back here, and I guarantee you Johnny will give him some wonderful advice.
Such unique targets, especially with the way the Big 12 is played. Both Johnson and Humphrey big targets that use that physicality. Yards after catch, but they can go up and bring it down. I mean, twice now he's been featured on. You got Moss by Randy Moss. That's probably why he's wearing that number 84. And then revenge, long time in the coming. As he made that catch, the same spot that Michael Crabtree made his catch back in 2008. And let's listen in.
And, you know, that's been great, Lowell, to see the energy return in this stadium. You and I have been working together for years now, and I remember when we would sit over here and when, you know, the Longhorn Network set would be right next to the opposing team section, and we'd get harassed, and really more you than me, but
that was Chris Ricks. But and they would yell at him thinking it was Eric Crouch. Like, it's not me, man.
But the energy in this place is changing. And even when we were driving in today, and we're literally having to drive through traffic to get here. Yeah. This was 2 hours before kick, and it just has not been like that. And you know what changed, though? The product. And when the product changes around this place in Austin, they want to come support winners. And so the team has helped themselves by coming out here, giving the fans something to come out here and rally around. But the fans have done their part once they've come to DKR.
So Oklahoma has now defeated Kansas. That makes it official.
Oh, boy.
Texas needs to beat Kansas on the road next week, and they will play in the Big 12 championship game. Anthony Cook trying to track down Milton. Milton finding some room to run, and he's brought down inside the 20. First time tonight the Cyclones have reached the red zone.
Wow.
And there is a flag down.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team number 8, half the distance to the goal from the end of the return. It's first down, Iowa State.
So that's on the punter, Buchewski.
They didn't tackle much here. And you know, and the Iowa State teammates will rag their guy for not getting in the end zone and getting tackled by a punter. And give Buchewski some credit here. He stuck his nose in there.
Cyclones trying to get on the board. Make this a 2-score game with 2:16 left. First trip inside the 20 for the Cyclones. One timeout remaining for Iowa State. The give to Montgomery. Nowhere to go. Taquan Graham is there for the stop. And Taquan Graham is one of those guys with a bright future for when those seniors depart. Calling his name more and more. Under 2 minutes to play. Montgomery, so elusive. Finds the end zone before Johnson can bring him down. And the Cyclones trying to make this interesting with 93 seconds left.
Watch the start and stop here. Oh, my goodness. I mean, he completely stops, changes directions, beats people outside. And the thing is that we didn't get a chance to see him the entire game. But when you start to watch him, when you start to watch what he's about, I mean, this kid can power through tackles. He's got enough breakaway speed to, you know, to take it the distance. Very talented back that I believe, you know, is going to have, you talk about making decisions. You know, David Montgomery is, I think he's league ready. He's complete back. He'll have to make a decision whether he comes back or not. And I think if you're David Montgomery and you're seeing what the Cyclones are doing now, Lowell, sometimes it's about enjoying this process. Yeah. I mean, while I was here at the University of Texas, we had so many guys that had an opportunity to play at the next level. Roy Williams, Ricky stays his senior year, Derek Johnson. I mean, we're talking guys that, listen, they were good their junior year. It's about enjoying this process. So if I had any advice to these young guys, you only get one of these college experiences. You may play for multiple NFL teams. At the end of the day, it's fun being out here with your teammates and enjoying this part of it, and because you won't get these years back.
Did not see David Montgomery in the first half. He was ejected for that melee against Baylor last week. That meant that he had to sit out the first half of this game. That is definitely a factor in the way this game is played out.
100%. Because you see him breaking tackles, you saw the start and stop ability, but it's the leadership. You know, just not even having him on the sideline to be able to help this freshman quarterback, who I'm pretty sure Brock Purdy has relied very heavily on that guy right there throughout the course of the season to bounce off questions to, and to determine, hey, what's my next move? And so Dave Montgomery is a top player, and he's also a nice young man when you get a chance to talk to the coaching staff and what they have to say about him.
So 1:33 left. Down by 2 scores, onside kick, and it goes right to Andrew Beck. And Beck secures it. And this will allow Texas to wind that clock down and get a step closer to the Big 12 championship game. It was remarkable the way it played out. Both teams were on the field. And on the Godzillatron, as they call it around here, they showed the ending of Oklahoma State and West Virginia. The Cowboys came from behind, were able to score late, hold off West Virginia inside the red zone to get the win. The entire Texas team turned and looked at it playing out. They knew what that meant. Sam Ehlinger went straight to the team, had some sort of quick conversation, then the guys went to the locker room. Daniel Young with the carry. And the ball is out. Iowa State says they have it. And taking it the other way is Willie Harvey. And the officials have told Matt Campbell to get off the field, but there's no ruling.
This is bizarre. Never seen him wait this long.
This is a Paul Rhodes moment. Remember a few years back when that football came out?
He's not happy.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. The defensive player recovered on the ground. It's first down, Iowa State.
Here we go, 1:19 left to play. New life for the Cyclones.
And Todd Orlando, he talked about the last 9 minutes of the game. And this Texas team, still relatively young in these types of moments of being able to seal the deal, and they're learning, they're growing. And if you're the defense here, you're coming back out with some fire. I'm sure this play will be reviewed. You'd like to think so. And at that point, if it is Iowa State's football, it's go time for the defense.
Only the 8th turnover all season for the Longhorns. Had 7 coming into the game, 3rd fewest in the bowl subdivision.
When the player recovered the fumble, the clock was at 1 minute, 26 seconds. 1:26 on the game clock, please.
Second lost fumble of the year for Daniel Young.
Interesting.
1:26 remaining. Kemp. P.J. Locke nearly had it as Kemp was looking for Jones.
And this is one area where Locke hasn't been at his best. Tom Herman told us yesterday, he said, inside of the box and stopping the run, the 5'11", 210-pound senior from Beaumont, Texas has been good. Outside of that, his coverage abilities has been something he really needs to improve on. They're almost with an interception.
Purdy was hurt on a hit by Locke a few drives ago. Kemp, the captain, 6th-year senior, has taken his place. Over the middle of the field behind Butler, who had found a soft spot in that Texas defense.
And the timing's off. And this is what happens, you know, early on in the year, you're connecting with your guy because you get reps in practice. But Brock Purdy has been taking all those snaps, and so much of the wide receiver and quarterback position is about chemistry. The understanding of knowing, hey, that window's there, discontinue your route, sit down in that soft spot so I can throw you open. And it appeared as though that's what Kyle Kemp was trying to do, and Butler just didn't get the memo.
Butler with 99 yards. The next leading receiver is the running back who missed half the game, David Montgomery, 3 catches for 22. 3rd and 10. Kemp goes down. Ball is out. Amenahu picks it up.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. first down, Texas.
And the senior may have just iced it for Texas. It's the future and the present, because you got the freshman Joseph Osai forcing it out. The senior, Amenahu, scooping it up, and you know he was thinking score.
He wanted a touchdown so bad. Great awareness here, though. Oftentimes, young guys forget to strip the ball. They just want to get the sack, and that was great awareness there. And Amenahu on the sideline, he told us yesterday, I really want to have a big game tonight as my last game in the stadium. You see that smile there. It's good to see Oscar Childs to the left. And, you know, and I can tell you this, Charles is one of those types of players that deserves these types of moments. He's worked really hard. He's told us, he said, yeah, I've asked some of the younger guys to stay after practice. I wasn't, you know, even during that stretch where I was struggling, so I could get to this moment. And now you see this Texas defense coming up with a key takeaway. And now Texas is going to put this game on ice, and they will send the Cyclones back to Ames with a loss.
Season high 6 sacks for the Texas defense. They have looked like the group that we saw at the beginning of the season. Tom Herman pushing all the right buttons tonight as Bouchel will take a knee. Campbell will not call his final timeout. And that does it. Texas, one win away from the Big 12 championship game.
Wow. I mean, what a turnaround. And now you start talking about Tom Herman as being, you see Matt Campbell won the Coach of the Year last year, but what he's been able to do with this program to get these kids believing. Charles Amenahu, you see right now, told us, he said, we don't even think about losing anymore. And that is far removed from what these players were thinking mentally, Long, 2 years ago.
And you go back now, how big was that catch by little Jordan Humphrey last week at Texas Tech to stop the slide? Because it looked like a long shot with back-to-back losses against Oklahoma State and West Virginia. And Texas Tech had momentum late in that game. If that one slips away, Texas may be celebrating, but just because of a win on senior night, not because of what may lay ahead.
And even some key moments tonight, right, where you make your play. And I think every great team understands that. And the chemistry of this team has really changed. We asked Patrick Bahe yesterday, what's different about this team from your freshman season? He said, we stick around the locker room. We talk. We all hang out together. And that translates to the field when you're able, right, to play together and to make these types of moments happen for your team.
Oh, my gosh.
This guy, please stay another year.
Is that it? And he's wearing a Chanel headband. Are you kidding me? Here's Chris Button with Tom Herman.